Welcome. I'm so excited that you are here and joining me. If you're wondering where you are, this is Think Get a Grip course, 4-week course with me, Heather Murray. So let me explain who I am and why it's so important to get a grip. So I am an educator. I taught all levels of education from kindergarten through college. I was a math teacher, and so during teaching of math, I realized, one of the biggest things holding the kids back from learning math was their mindset. They believed I can't. Their parents would even say, well, it's okay, I wasn't good at math. And so they had this idea that I'm not good at math, and it controlled everything that they did in the classroom, out of the classroom, how they felt about themselves. And so I started teaching them my techniques that I developed for myself when I was young. I suffered from anxiety and depression. And so I had to learn how to kind of navigate my life so that I can enjoy it, because that's really what I want. I want to be content and happy and enjoy my life. So I have all these strategies. I learned them from reading, from research, from therapy, from other people. And so I developed these things that worked really well for me. And once I started using them with my students and then teaching their parents as well and my colleagues if they asked, I realized, wow, like these are really, really functional for everyone. So I thought I'm going to write them down and share them with people, because mindset, mental wellness is really important. And I think more so today than ever. We're in such a fast-paced world. So I want people to be content and happy and enjoying their life and being functional citizens, right? I want people to be able to help their communities and be a positive influence and all those things. So that's where my drive for Think Get a Grip came from. And the book is just called Get a Grip. And it's all my strategies and techniques. So I think the basis, if I was to put a basis on it, it's that thoughts create feelings and feelings create actions. So if you want to act differently, you actually have to think differently, and that's where I'm wanting to get to. I think about the story of my boss said to me, hey, Heather, I need to see you at the end of the day. So all day I'm flipping out like, oh my gosh, what does he want? I mean, what have I done? Did I do anything wrong? I don't remember doing anything wrong. I think I'm okay, but oh my gosh, what's going on? And so by the end of the day, I'm pretty worked up, and I get into his office and I said, you wanted to see me? And he said, yes, I just wanted to tell you what a great job you're doing. I hear all the time what a great job you're doing. And I think to myself, I just wasted a whole day being panicked for no apparent reason. And that's the kind of thing that we can control when we manage our thoughts. So during our 4 weeks together, we will be using the book, Get a Grip. And if you haven't purchased the book yet, you can go to thinkgetagrip.com, all one word, and order it. You can order it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and the little buttons are there. You can just click on them and purchase the book. And I really recommend you have the book, because I cover so much more in the book, more stories, more in-depth information, the way I see it, my ideas behind it. And so you need the book to be able to read it. And I like a book because I like to write notes in it. So, please purchase the book. Because then we're going through it anyway, and you might as well have it to follow along. So that's the first thing. So in the book, it's kind of broken up into 4 weeks, and each week it covers certain topics and skills that I call them. And the kind of the overall arching, I guess, idea is you're learning about thinking obstacles, the things that stand in your way of reaching that pinnacle of where you want to be. So we start off with, I'll just tell you the skills. I won't really list out all the ideas, but the skills are you learn to start your day right. And that happens to be making your bed, starting the day with gratitude, and ending the day with joy. Then we move on to, our thoughts and catching ourselves thinking and asking every time, is what I'm thinking true? Because oftentimes what we're thinking isn't true, but we believe, well, I thought it, it's in my head, it must be true. No, it isn't. So we'll practice that. We'll also learn about limiting beliefs. And these are the things that we learned, which I think we learned when we were little kids, before we were even able to ask clarifying questions or want to know more. And certainly no one explained to us anything because we're little kids. They think, ugh, they don't understand. They just tell us, no, yes, do this, don't do that. But we also watched people doing things. So if you watch somebody always screaming on the phone, as an adult, you might have a nervousness around the phone because of that early experience. You won't remember that experience necessarily, but you'll have that feeling like, I don't like talking on the phone. Well, that's probably why. Or if you lived with somebody who cried a lot, crying will upset you, makes you nervous. So those sorts of things carry through. I call them limiting beliefs because they do limit us. We will also dive into negative thinking because negative thinking is our go-to. And I equate this to our very early ancestors, those who lived in a cave, and what they would need. So I think way back, because DNA transfers over the eons. And so we've inherited certain thinking habits from our long ago ancestors. So I think about those people and I think, well, what did they need to do? And I want you to imagine that. What did they need? How did they need to think? What were their habits that they needed to have? Because that is what we do today. And when you start to understand that, you go, wow, I don't really need those old-fashioned habits anymore, but I still have them because they're built into my DNA. One of those is definitely negative thinking, and another one is judgment. And we will delve into those because they occupy a lot of our time and make us feel miserable. And then we'll delve into what do we fear? What are our worries and what's the purpose of both? And then also what triggers us. And I'll tell you what, the triggers are, whoa, we need to understand our triggers because those are the things that we go a snap and we're like, we bark at somebody or we burst into tears or whatever it is. And we respond in such an immediate knee-jerk reaction. We're like, wow, where did that come from? Well, those are triggers, and we can understand what those are. And another skill that we learn because of triggers is planning ahead. We can actually plan ahead for responses that we want to have when we feel certain things. Like, how do you respond when you're embarrassed? Do you get angry? Because, anger gives you a sense of power. So if you're embarrassed, you might need a sense of power. And we talk about those sorts of things. Like, how do I choose a response for when I'm embarrassed that is better suited than anger? Because that's not what I wanted to do. And then we go on to what I call the circle of trust. This is one of my favorite sections because it teaches you about what you've done with the people that you've allowed into your heart who don't really belong there. And they hurt you over and over again, but you don't understand that that's what's happening. Now, I've had a recent person take this course and say that was life-changing for her. Absolutely life-changing. She could not believe how much sense that made out of her life now. And then we finish with what I call mind mapping. Now, if you've ever taught English, you start with the main idea and then you do all these little other thoughts off of it, or other sub-ideas. Well, that's the same idea in mind mapping. You take that idea, that thought, that thing that you can't let go of, it's just augured in there, you just can't not think about it, and that's how you get off of that is by thinking other thoughts. And we'll practice that, and that is a skill you'll use forever. It works beautifully. So those are the skills that we will learn all through the book. And so to get started, though, I want to go back to starting your day right with making your bed. And here's why. I know you're probably cringing. I don't want to make my bed. And you can also tell me, I think that's dumb. I'm not going to do it. And that is your choice. But I'm here to tell you it will change you if you actually do it. So there's an admiral that did a little book about making your bed. And it was a great one. And most people know this. About you can make yourself set a high standard by making your bed. And how you do that, and you also get over the hump of I don't want to, which is a big thing in life. We don't want to, and it's hard to force ourselves to go do that. And if we can't, we don't get to take those opportunities that arrive. So this making the bed, I can't tell you how important it is because it's so important. So if you make your bed, I'm not talking about just kind of throwing things on there and whatever, that's good enough. No, it's not about good enough. You pull up the sheet, make it crisp. You pull up the covers, make them crisp. You get everything in order. You put the pillows just so, and act like it's a hotel room. You want it to be that nice. And what's going to happen out of that is you're setting yourself up for this standard, and you've got to meet that standard every day. And that will hold you to that kind of, I am going to be able to rise to the occasion. Now, there might be somebody in your bed when you're trying to make your bed in the morning, and I understand that. So you just have to wait until they're out of the bed, or when a time comes up that day when you can make the bed. But you must do it every day, and I don't care what time it is. But it is nice if you do it early in the day, and then when you come home and you go to your room and you see your bed made, it gives you a sense of satisfaction and that things are in order. Even when the whole world is out of order, you look at your bed and you go, oh, that looks great. And you know what? I did that. It's a sense of accomplishment. Now, I used to teach the parents that they needed to make their kids make their bed, because kids need to learn. I've got to be able to get over that feeling of I don't want to, and little kids really dig their heels in I don't want to. And they can learn to make the bed early. They don't have to be old to do this, but they need to be able to make their bed to get that feeling of I don't want to out of the way, so that they can push themselves to those higher standards and take advantage of opportunities that come along. And that's really my focus, is I want us all to be able to not be afraid, not worry, not judge, no negative thoughts, no limiting beliefs, and be able to go and do the things that we would like to try, or that we've thought about trying but we're afraid. So all those things, and we start by making our bed. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, this is ridiculous, but give me a chance, will you? Just try it. Just do it with me for these 4 weeks and see what you think at the end of the 4 weeks, okay? And then you can tell me that was a lot of poppycock, and I'm okay with that if you say it, but I don't think you will. And then finally, what I want you to do is I want you to read the first 40 pages in the book, because that gives you that background that I'm talking about, those ideas of how our thinking works, what goes into that, and then you'll know where I'm coming from for the rest of the time together. So read pages 1 through 40 for next week, and I can't wait to start this whole process with you. And I am really proud of you for taking this step, because it's going to be fabulous for you, and you're just going to feel on top of the world when you get done. So thank you, and I'll see you in a week. All right, bye.